gotta rotate, get things proper. Okay, I'm just loading up my Facebook page and waiting, just letting out the YouTube crowd, letting everyone kind of come in first. There's an article that I'm trying to pull up so we can start our conversation about last night's episode. If you've watched Twin Peaks, there's a lot of shit to talk about. So let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I think that's where we are. Twin Peaks. All right. Just give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get into it. A damn good cup of coffee. Got that right there. By the way, if you guys want one of these, hit up a local Hot Topic, because that's where your boy got his from. I think it was like $15. But hey, it's worth it. It's worth it if you love Twin Peaks. So hit up Hot Topic. I think they're still selling them there. I don't know. But if you want one, head over there and get one. Okay. Cool. All right, so I'm reading an article, Twin Peaks, trying to make sense of the show's most bonkers episode. Referring to last night's episode. If you watched last night, Sunday, it's crazy. So I'm reading straight from this article, Vanity Fair. I don't know if any of you guys have read that. Kind of skimmed through it a little bit before, but didn't read all the way through completely. So I'm just reading through some of that and then discussing some of the highlights. So we are now almost exactly halfway through Mark Frost and David Lynch's ambitious 18-hour Twin Peaks revival. And while there was some debate before the season started over whether the typical internet obsessive approach would be appropriate, here, the season has already rewarded some close watching. That's for damn sure. This highly abstract 8th episode in particular could benefit from some unpacking. Lynch may lead us through a mushroom cloud or two he never intends to explain, but there are some references in the revival that have deeper meaning, particularly when it comes to the way Twin Peaks: The Return interacts with the mythology of 1992 the feature film Fire Walk With Me. Okay. Allow us, as we have previously, blah, 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 blah. Now they're talking about Dougie Jones and Agent Cooper. Digging into some of that. An inconvenient truth. Of all the baffling elements within this episode of Twin Peaks, the most confusing may be the lengthy sequence involving an old timey convenience store / gas station and a group of sooty ghosts. This scene evokes a few things in Twin Peaks Ian lore. First of all, In Fire Walk with Me, a member of Lodge spirits are seen in a room located above a convenience store. I do remember that after watching the movie. And while the convenience store in this episode doesn't exactly look like it has rooms above it, in Fire Walk with Me, Mike shouts to a Bob-infected Leland Palmer, "You stole the corn. I had it canned over the store." If you squint closely at the store in this week's episode, you may see cans stacked in the window. Okay. So that's a reference to that gas station. There's also Big Ed's gas farm from the original Twin Peaks series. Ray and Philip. It's also worth noting that Ray is still in contact with Agent Philip Jeffries, the character played by David Bowie in Fire Walk with Me. As far as we know, Jeffries, like Cooper, has been compromised by exposure to Lodge spirits. There was also an implication earlier this season that this evil version of Philip wants custody of Bob once evil Cooper is done with him. "I think he's dead," Ray says to Philip, "but he got some kind of help. So I'm not sure about that. I saw something in Cooper. It may be the key to what this is all about." More about that thing Ray saw in Cooper in a bit. Yeah, I was wondering what he meant by that. So the guy, Ray, that was driving evil Cooper last night, is he some kind of agent? That's what I'm wondering. Or I'm like, yeah. Because he seems like he could, underneath it all, kind of be a good guy. Or is he this anti kind of character with a different agenda? So I'm trying to figure out what Ray's role is. Because he definitely has some information that the evil Cooper wants. And he knows some things about some stuff, to say the least. So I'm wondering if they'll unpack that in the next episode. I thought that was interesting. The birth of Bob. So I think we all kind of, I definitely assumed that as we were watching the episode, like, you know, with them going into the 1940s and showing some past dates and the weird stuff that was happening, it definitely seemed like that was kind of the birth of Bob and how he kind of came into the world, in a sense. That's just my speculation. So it looks like we were able to see the birth of Bob, which was pretty weird. Yeah. I'm going to leave a note on that. There's also a picture of Albert. He's talking, you know, to the little... What is her name? She's like the other sexy lady agent. The new agent that's working with David Lynch's character. And Albert. But in the back, this is in a previous episode, there's a picture of that mushroom cloud that we seen in last night's episode. So this is the second time that mushroom cloud has made an appearance. I mean, who knows if it has any big significance, but obviously last night it kind of seems like they were touching on kind of the birth of Bob. And I'm going to talk more about that here in just a second. Yeah, so we see that explosion. Not the first time that we've seen the atomic imagery this season. Then eventually, the pale monster from the beginning of the season births some gooey substance that contains a shape with Bob's face. She appears to be vomiting, a very Lodge spirit thing to do. Yeah, it was pretty gross and weird. So I do remember seeing that weird creature earlier in the season. So we've seen the creation of Bob. There's a lot of parallels between Laura Palmer and Bob. Some weird stuff as far as the dates of things. We're going to talk about that too here in a minute. The 9-inch nails. So this is what they say in their article. Do not ask us why the Roadhouse was able to afford Nine Inch Nails, but here we have a rare mid-episode musical interlude before everything really goes pear-shaped. Trent Reznor, and the rest of the band sings "She's Gone Away." The title of the song is a Tidy Laura Palmer anthem all on its own. But if you're the type to read into every detail, the lyrics might prove even more illuminating. You dig in places till your fingers bleed, / spread the infection, where you spill your seed, could certainly refer to some of the skull-cracking scenes we see later in the episode. A little mouth opened up inside, / yeah, I was watching on the day she died, might refer to the young girl who swallows a bug creature. And finally, we keep, and that was disgusting, we keep licking while the skin turns black, might evoke the sooty spirits who play a key role in the resurrection of Evil Cooper. Speaking of which. So yeah, and so that other guy that was driving with Evil Cooper, he shoots him. He tricks him, switches out the guns or whatever. And then that scene was weird. How he was like resurrected or whatever, and like these ghostly, dirty-looking, grungy, weird, creepy men, come out of the forest, and they're like, doing, it looks like some type of ritual where they're separating Bob from the Evil Cooper. And here's another quick note. So the Evil Cooper, this was more of a refresher and a reminder, I think that was good for me that I remembered, is that the Evil Cooper is a doppelganger. So he's an evil clone of Cooper. So this Evil Cooper, I believe, is not the original Cooper. And I mean, we all get that we get that part. But, it's not like Bob has possessed Cooper. You know what I mean? This is an evil version of Cooper. The good Cooper is somewhere stuck within, the lodge, within the Red Room or whatever. And so I'm wondering what that means for Dougie Jones. Because, this Evil Cooper, he acknowledges, like even in previous episodes, asking if Bob was still with him. And he was glad about that. But it's not a thing of Bob, like, possessing him or anything. This is just an evil entity himself of Cooper. Just a doppelganger. And if some of you don't know what that word is, I mean, obviously, if you watch Twin Peaks, you should know. But a doppelganger is, like a lookalike, a clone, to say the least, I would say. So that's something to keep in mind. That was something that was refreshing for me as I was watching last night, and as I'm reading over this article. A significant element of Evil Cooper's resurrection here involves what appears to be the removal of Bob by the suit ghosts. Those are those ghostly guys I was talking about. Just a few episodes ago, Evil Cooper was in his jail cell checking to make sure that Bob was still with him. He likely won't be pleased to find Bob gone. So that goes to, again, to what I was saying, the Evil Cooper, he's not possessed, by Bob. They're just both two evil entities. So the Evil Cooper, like I said, is just his own evil clone. So where the hell is the good Cooper's body? Is that Dougie Jones? But I believe that Dougie was created by Bob. So I'm just trying to figure out where the hell is Cooper. Like, where's his actual body? And maybe he got a new body through Dougie Jones. I think too much. I'm thinking about so many different things, but that's something to think about when we're thinking about this series and the way the story's going. The Woodsman. Oh yeah, that guy was weird and creepy. In this episode, we meet one of the scarier figures in Twin Peaks' long history. And that's saying a lot. If this terrifying figure named the Woodsman in the credits looks like a demonic Abraham Lincoln to you, there's a good reason why he's played by Robert Broski, a known Lincoln impersonator. Between repeated and creepy readings of Got a Light, that was creepy, and This is the Water, and This is the Well, Drink full and descend. The horse is the white of the eyes and dark within. The woodsman had all the right stuff to leave. Damn it. Sorry, guys. Gotta plug this up. Damn battery. There we go. We're good. We're back online. Even though we never left. He's got the nightmarish impression on viewers. And his fondness for crushing skulls didn't help much either. Yeah, he was like just killing people randomly, which I thought was that was intense. I didn't expect that. You know, I would have thought that that some ghost would have like a different agenda. But yeah, he just definitely seemed more violent, this woodsman, which I thought was pretty crazy and creepy. A popular theory floating around is that at least one of the suit ghosts, oh god dang it, one of the suit ghosts haunting the fringes of this Twin Peaks revival is the Log Lady's husband, who died significantly in a fire on their wedding night. The Log Lady says, you know what, damn it, we're going to keep it there. The Log Lady says her husband met the devil. If one of the suit ghosts is the former Mr. Log Lady, who happened to be Lumberjack, he might be this Lumberjack. Okay, that's a theory floating around. Time doesn't flow linearly when it comes to lodge spirits. So a dead Mr. Log Lady could mean menacing New Mexican residents in 1956. For what it's worth, there are 2 men credited as woodsmen in the Fire Walk with Me. Okay. Huh. That's a theory going around. Senorita Dido, she's that lady. Here, they're talking about it. It's kind of hard to describe her. If the woodsman is a new Peaks Eon force for evil, there's also another force for good. This woman, a White Lodge companion, Carol Strucken's giant. So that we did see the White Lodge last night. That's what that was. That looked a lot similar. It had a similar feel. Me and my wife were talking about this. It had a similar feel to when Cooper was leaving the Red Room and he went into that place that was like in space, which I believe was the Black Lodge. It had a similar feel to it. But this is what it says. Who is officially listed as, nobody knows what the lady's name is in this revival, is played by Joy Nash, the maybe giant and Senorita Dido, apparently perturbed by what looks like the birth of the evil spirit Bob, appeared to send a figure of goodness and light to Earth, possibly to combat him. That figure comes straight out of the giant's head. Yeah, that was interesting. And beats and bears the face of Laura Palmer, which is interesting. So that goes back into some of the stuff what I was talking about, the parallels between the birth of Bob and Laura Palmer. So there seems to be some interesting things between the two that's noted in this episode. The giant and Senorita Dido, I hope I'm saying that right, send off the Golden Laura Ball with all the tender, hopeful affection of Laura and Jor-El sending baby Superman off to Earth. If this interpretation that Laura sprung from the head of a White Lodge spirit is correct, then this is a fairly major revelation in the mythology of Twin Peaks. Laura Palmer may not just be a teenage girl gone wild in the Pacific Northwest. No, she could be a figure of elemental good sent to our world to help combat the elemental evil that is Bob. Both Bob and Laura then would have, in a way, occupied Leland Palmer at some point in his life. I think that is a really interesting take. That's really weird. Because it also makes you think, like, I've talked about this before just in real life. Sometimes, when we think about, like, purpose with, rather it be a relationship or, an activity or something that you did in life, you want to impact somebody in a positive way, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily happen the way you may think. I don't know if that makes sense. I wonder if that's kind of what they're getting at with Laura Palmer, where she is this force for good, even though she did some crazy stuff, as well when she was a teenager. She was wilding out, and nobody really knew that part of her. But maybe she still was that beacon of light, but just in a different way that people would have expected in the town of Twin Peaks. I don't know. That's a good theory to think about, especially with the information that was given last night. It goes on, and it's almost done. He also says that where they come from, there is constantly music in the air. That would be right in the line with the music-filled room in this episode, where we first meet Senorita Dido. Could all of that abstract dialogue from Cooper's dream be more literal than we ever thought? That's true. Because there was music playing the whole time. It's kind of creepy, even there. But that's interesting as you look back on kind of what Cooper said. The locust / frog. The episode eventually zooms forward from 1945 to August 5th, 1956. We see an egg hatch and a locust / frog, a biblical plague combo if ever there was one. Creature crawls out. At least it won't bump its ass when it hops. This is true. The hatched egg looks exactly the same as the ones in the goo emerging from mother figure earlier in the episode. Right. It does look like that egg, when the white, creepy mother creature was like spitting up some stuff, and you can see all those eggs, and you're seeing, Bob's face in one of those shapes. It's the same egg, so who knows if it's Bob or a different entity. But that's something to keep note of as we continue to watch. Yeah, they're kind of mentioning the same thing as I was just saying. So who could this girl be? Grace Zabriskie, the actress who plays Laura Palmer's mother, Sarah, was born in 1941. A Twin Peaks Wikipedia thing without any sourcing lists Sarah Palmer's date of birth as 1945. The same year as Bob. So Sarah could perhaps be... Interesting. So Sarah could perhaps be the same age as this girl, 11 or 15, in 1956. But we'll have to stay tuned to find out. That's interesting. So, and I wondered that too. We talked about that earlier. Like, could that young girl be Laura Palmer's mother? That's an idea. I mean, I don't know. That adds some interesting elements into the mythology as well. Yeah, so that's the end of the article. So now I'm just going to share my thoughts. And what you guys think about that article. If you, I'll see if I'll post it on my Facebook page and Twitter so you guys can read it as well, even though I just went through it. But you guys can also read it. I'll make sure it's posted on my social media. But I think they pointed out some interesting things in last night's episode. Another thing just a few things that I want to note about last night's episode. I thought the whole nuke scene was just creepy to me. Like that gas station, and the lights were flickering, and you can see all these ghostly, people walking around. And anything that has to do with kind of like, the old school, like really, like 1940s, 50s, and like a deserted town and nukes, that kind of stuff, like radiation, that always seems really creepy as hell to me. And I think they executed that scene well. And so what I'm wondering is, with the nuke that happened, did it open up some type of portal, in this spiritual realm, that opened up a portal for something to travel through into our world? That's what it kind of seemed like to me as I watched. I don't know if anyone else kind of felt that, but that's what I got from it as I was watching. So I mean, I guess we'll just have to continue to watch to get hopeful clarification, because David Lynch will throw you one curveball and then take you to a next. But that's what it seems like. Is like that nuke kind of opened up some type of portal for something in a different spiritual realm to travel through. Therefore, a lot of weird stuff has happened since. So that's my thought on that. I love the new series. I think it is doing fantastic. And I think last night was definitely a bit of a twist in terms of that episode. Like, I think my face after the episode, I was just like, the whole time. Like, the whole time I was watching it, I was just like frozen. Like, all right, what is happening? What is this? And I think that's good, because one thing I love about Twin Peaks, it doesn't do exactly what you expect. We can have as many assumptions as we want with this show, but our predictions can only go so far, and I think that's something that David Lynch does very well in terms of his storytelling. So I'm excited for next week's episode. I'll try to do a live reaction of next week's episode, either immediately after it's done, or the following Monday. I like doing these. I think it's fun. So I'll try to keep posted on that as well, because I think that's always fun, just to be able to talk about the episodes with you guys. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was mind-boggling. There's so many questions that I have, and I think there's only like 9 or 10 episodes left. So my mind is wondering how they're gonna close all of this up together, how they're gonna conclude everything, because it seems like there's so much with the cast that we haven't even seen yet, and the story, the way it's going. Can we finish that within 9 to 10 episodes? I mean, all we can do is wait and see what they do with it. But yeah, you always feel like you're on the edge with each episode that you watch, and I think that's something that's great and notable about that a show can do that. For every episode that you watch, that it leaves you on the edge and leaves you wanting more and leaves you pissed off because you're like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? And I think Twin Peaks has always been known for that. So share your thoughts. I want to hear from you guys. I'm in a lot of the Facebook groups on, for Twin Peaks. So I'll be posting some stuff there. And I'm always active on my social media and here on YouTube. So make sure you guys subscribe so you can stay in touch and get notified on any of my other stuff outside of the live reactions. But yes, comment on this video. Let me know what you guys thought about Twin Peaks: The Return, episode 8. It was crazy as hell, but it was good and interesting and scary and creepy. But let me know you guys' thoughts. Let me know your predictions. Let me know, some of the things that you're hoping for. What are some moments that you're most excited to see in this new season? Comment on that. I want to hear from you guys on that, because I think that would be fun to hear. What some things you guys want to see happen most, or who's somebody that you want to show up from the old cast most that we haven't seen yet. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you this upcoming Sunday. Probably Sunday. If it's not Sunday, I'll do it Monday, but I'm thinking I'm going to try to do it Sunday after the episode is done. I like doing it fresh. So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. And until next time, guys, wham, bam, boom.